Welcome to this deep dive. Today we're tackling something that might seem kind of dry at first, citing sources and writing those killer intros and conclusions.
Yeah, they can seem a bit technical at first glance.
Right, but trust me, it gets really interesting. We're not just talking about the how here. We're going deep on the why, like why do these things even matter? And get this, getting good at this stuff can actually make you a more persuasive writer.
Absolutely. And more credible, more engaging too.
For real.
Yeah.
We've got APA-style guides, advice on writing strong conclusions, even some research on the psychology of persuasion. It's going to be good.
What I find fascinating is how these writing techniques are tied to psychology, like how our brains process information, how we make decisions.
Whoa. Yeah, I didn't think about it like that.
It's a game changer when you realize that connection.
Okay, so let's unpack the APA stuff first.
Yeah.
There are, like, actual rules for citing sources.
Oh, yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, what if you have, like, 21 authors on a research paper? You're telling me I got to list every single one?
Believe it or not, there are guidelines for that. It seems kind of extra, I know. But APA style, any citation system, really it's about building trust with your reader.
Okay, yeah, makes sense.
When you cite things correctly, you're showing, hey, I did my research, I get this topic. It's like joining a conversation, but you actually have receipts to back up what you're saying.
Like, I'm not just talking out of my hat here. I've got sources. But I got to say, some of these rules are intense. Like,
Yeah.
even capitalization that changes depending on whether it's a book or a journal article.
It does, and those little details actually matter. They help people quickly figure out what kind of source you're using. It's all about clarity.
Makes sense. Imagine trying to understand someone's argument when you can't even tell what they're basing it on.
Exactly. It'd be total chaos.
So we've established citing sources is good. It builds credibility. But how does that tie back to persuasion? Those seem kind of separate.
I used to think that too, but they're more connected than you think. Remember that research on persuasion we've got?
Yeah, sounds super interesting.
It talks about 6 principles of persuasion, reciprocity, scarcity, authority, consistency, liking, and consensus.
Okay, I'm following.
6 principles. And get this, citing sources correctly actually uses at least 3 of them. Authority, because you're showing your expertise. Consistency, because you're sticking to the rules. And consensus, because you're aligning yourself with, like, the smart folks in your field.
No way. I never thought of it that way. So I'm basically subtly persuading my reader to trust me just by getting these little citations right.
Exactly. It's all about understanding the subtle cues that make people believe what they're reading.
Wild. Okay, so we've got citations down. They're not just about avoiding plagiarism. They're about building your rep and even using a bit of psychology to make your argument stronger. But before we jump into intros and conclusions, let's talk about something else about sources quoting versus paraphrasing.
Ah, yes.
It's not just about avoiding plagiarism there either, right? It's about choosing the best way to use the information.
100%. A direct quote, that's like bringing out the big guns.
Uh-huh. Love that.
You're letting the original source speak for itself. Super effective when you've got a powerful quote or a complex idea that you don't want to mess with.
So if the author just nails it, I should use a quote.
Exactly. Or if you're analyzing a specific passage, you've got to quote it directly.
Right. So you're not misrepresenting anything. Okay, makes sense. What about paraphrasing? When's that the way to go?
Paraphrasing, that's your secret weapon for making information flow seamlessly into your own writing.
Oh, okay.
It's like you're taking the source material and weaving it into your own tapestry.
I like that. So it becomes more my own.
Exactly. Paraphrasing is also great for making complex things easier to understand, or when you just want to focus on a specific part of a longer quote.
So it's about being smart, strategic, choosing the best way to get the information across.
Exactly. Every choice you make as a writer should be deliberate. Like, how can I use this to build my argument?
This is making me rethink how I approach writing.
Yeah.
It's not just about finding the information, it's about presenting it in the most compelling way possible.
Now you're getting it.
Okay, so we've tackled citations and how to use sources effectively. But what about those all-important introductions? Like, I've heard those can make or break your paper.
It's true. A good introduction, it's like setting the stage for a killer performance.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
You got to grab the reader's attention, get them hyped about what you're going to say, and give them a little roadmap of what's to come.
All right, so back to those introductions. We know they're important, but where do people even mess up? Like, what makes a bad intro?
You'd be surprised how often intros miss the mark. One common trap is the placeholder intro. You know, those vague statements that could apply to, like, anything.
Oh, like climate change is a serious issue.
Exactly. It's like you're filling space, not grabbing attention.
Yeah, just going through the motions.
Hmm.
Guilty of that, especially when I'm stressed and trying to get an essay done.
It's tempting, but a strong intro needs to do more than just exist. It's got to make the reader actually want to keep reading.
No pressure, right. So
Yeah.
no placeholder intros. What else?
Another one is the dreaded restated question intro. Like literally just repeating the essay question back to your reader.
Oh man, I've done that too. Like, this essay will explore the complex relationship between, yeah, no kidding, that's the prompt.
Right. Zero new information. It's like a boring tour guy who's just like, okay, get ready. We're about to see something amazing. Just show me already.
Yeah, dive right in. Okay, so no placeholder intros, no restating the question. What about starting with the dictionary definition? Too obvious.
Defining key terms. Good. Starting your whole paper with a dry, generic definition. That's a one-way ticket to Snoozeville.
Right, it's got to be engaging right off the bat. So we've talked about what not to do. What does make an intro sing?
A compelling hook, that's key. A thought-provoking question, maybe a shocking statistic, a vivid story.
Like those opening lines in novels that just suck you right in.
Yes, you want to create that same I need to know more feeling in academic writing, believe it or not.
Even in a research paper.
Okay, hook them in, then you can introduce your main topic, drop that thesis statement.
Because a strong thesis is super important, right?
Absolutely. Clear, concise, something to argue about. It's the backbone of your whole paper.
Got it. Hook, topic, thesis.
Ooh.
What about background info? Does that belong in the intro too?
Some context is good, but it's a balancing act. You don't want to overload them right away. Think of it like you're giving a little tour before the main event.
Okay, set the scene, but don't give away the ending.
Exactly. And a good intro should also give a sneak peek of what's to come, briefly mention those key points you'll be talking about.
Like a little roadmap to keep them on track.
Precisely. All right, so we've covered intros. Now, conclusions. Conclusions. I always struggle with those. It's like, how do I wrap things up without just repeating myself? A lot of people feel that way. It's tempting to just reword your thesis and call it a day, but
Oh, yeah, totally. And that's why I insert thesis statement again. I thought I was being so clever.
we've all been there. But instead of just echoing yourself, think about it like this. How can you rephrase your thesis to really highlight why it matters?
Like connected to the real world or something.
Exactly. Tie it to current events, show why your argument has lasting importance. It taps into that scarcity thing we talked about earlier.
Oh, right. Because if my paper's the only place, you're going to get these brilliant insights.
People are going to pay attention. And there's one more crucial thing about conclusions. Answering the so what question.
So what question? Okay, I'm intrigued. What's that all about?
It's simple but important. By the end, your reader should be able to answer, why does this argument matter? What are the implications? You got to connect the dots for them.
So it's not just about what I'm arguing, but why it matters in the big picture.
Exactly. And that's where it gets really fun. You can bring back those persuasion techniques, appeal to your reader's emotions, really drive your point home.
Okay, so we've covered a ton of ground here. From those nitty-gritty APA rules to crafting intros and conclusions that actually pack a punch.
It's been quite a journey.
Right, but honestly, I feel like we just scratched the surface of this persuasion thing. Like, there's got to be more to it.
Yeah. Oh, there's definitely more. And it's so cool when you start to see it all working together.
Okay, so spill the secrets. What else is there?
Well, remember those 6 principles of persuasion we keep mentioning?
Yeah, reciprocity, scarcity, authority, consistency, liking, and what was the last one?
Consensus.
Yeah.
And those aren't just for academic writing. They work everywhere.
For real.
Yeah. Once you understand them, you can communicate way more effectively in any situation.
Okay, now I'm really interested. Break it down for me, those 6 principles.
All right. So reciprocity. That's basically the I owe you one principle. People are hardwired to want to return favors.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like when you forget someone's birthday and then you feel super guilty.
Exactly. And it's not just about like gifts. It works with information, kindness, even just acknowledging someone's point of view.
So how does that work in writing? Should I be sending my professor a thank you card with my pater?
Probably not. But think of it this way. You're giving your reader something valuable up front. A good story, new information, a clear explanation.
So it's like, hey, reader, I'm giving you all this good stuff, Maybe hear me out on this argument now.
Exactly. You're building goodwill. And that ties into authority, too. People trust experts, right?
Makes sense.
So when you cite your sources, use strong evidence, show that you know what you're talking about.
People take me more seriously.
Bingo. And then there's consensus.
Yeah.
Humans, we're social creatures, right? We look to others for cues on how to act.
Oh, yeah. It's like, am I more likely to try that new restaurant if it's empty or if there's a line down the block?
Exactly. So if you can show that other experts agree with you, your reader is more likely to jump on board too.
That's crazy. Okay, what about scarcity? We talked about that a little with conclusions, but
It's about highlighting what makes your work unique. Why should the reader care about what you have to say?
so like what fresh perspective am I bringing?
Exactly. What new insights are you offering? Make them see that they can't get this information anywhere else.
Got it. Okay, two more.
Yeah.
Liking and consistency. Those seem pretty straightforward.
They are. People are more likely to listen to someone they like. Simple as that.
But how do you show likability in writing? Do I need to be cracking jokes in my research paper?
Uh-huh. No, not necessarily. But think about your tone, your voice. Are you being yourself? Are you excited about the topic? Enthusiasm is contagious.
So be genuine. Let my passion show. Makes sense. What about consistency?
People want to be consistent with their own beliefs. So if you can show how your argument fits in with what they already believe,
They're more likely to agree with me.
exactly.
Yeah.
It all comes down to understanding how people think.
This is blowing my mind. I had no idea there was so much to it.
It's pretty cool, right?
It is. So they've talked about citing sources, writing amazing intros and conclusions, and now we've even got these powerful persuasion principles in our back pocket.
And the best part, you can use all this for good.
Yeah, seriously. I love that.
It's about using your words to make a positive impact on the world.
That's what I'm talking about. So to everyone listening, remember, your words have power. You can inform, inspire, maybe even change someone's mind. Don't be afraid to share your ideas with the world.
Here.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us.